109,000 people. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Jose from Florida Hood Blogs. This video is the truth about moving to Lehigh Acres. What attracts so many people to Lehigh Acres is how affordable the housing is. But we're going to give you the real history and the real scope on living in this Florida town. One of the reasons people are attracted to Lehigh Acres is because how affordable the housing is for like $130,000, $140,000. Now when I say new, I mean like from 2005 onward. Not exactly brand new, but still, it's not an old house. And why were there so many houses built? Builder would give the buyer a kickback for buying a particular model. And some people bought up to 2 and 3 houses where they would get up to a $20,000 kickback. And this caused there to be more houses built than there were people to live in them. And when these houses became vacant, it led to a problem that was known locally as the grow house crisis, where all these empty houses were being used by drug trafficking organizations to grow marijuana out of these houses. Grow houses were being busted every year in Lehigh Acres. Fraud and organized crime were the norm. As these houses went into foreclosure, went in and took all the air conditioners, all of the copper from the houses, which led to a law that made it illegal to sell AC condensers to scrap yards. This law was first put into place in Lee County and in Collier County. Eventually, this law was incorporated into the entire state of Florida, making it illegal to sell AC condensers to scrap yards. This problem started right here in Lehigh Acres, and even today you will see houses that still have railings around their air conditioning units. Today that's not the face of Lehigh Acres anymore. Lehigh Acres is a changing place. However, these people still have their roots here, and sometimes they come back and we're seeing a resurgence in crime rings. One of the most popular things you're seeing now is people coming from Miami to steal boats from residential properties. That is a trailer that can just be hooked up to a truck, will disappear and end up somewhere in Miami. And so at times it seems like it's the wild, wild west out there in Lehigh Acres. This is 82. 82 is the main, and it seems like only way to getting in or out of Lehigh Acres. There's not even that many parks. There's not that much to do in the city of Lehigh Acres, because from the beginning, from the time they laid this town out, it was meant to be a land scam. They were just selling you land where there was absolutely no infrastructure, and that to this day plagues this community. The absolute nightmare about living in Lehigh Acres is getting on Highway 82. Look at this traffic. This is on a Saturday night coming into Lehigh Acres. Highway 82 is nerve-wracking. It's under construction. It's been under construction forever. You will hate this highway. When you leave your house, you're going to get on Highway 82. You're going to be stuck in traffic. And you're also going to be looking at your cameras at home to make sure nobody's breaking into your house. And I noticed that with all of my coworkers that lived in Lehigh Acres. So that's probably the absolute worst thing about Lehigh Acres. If you are not commuting every day, you're like working from home, then I guess the whole Lehigh experience could be a whole lot better. I think the absolute worst experience about Lehigh is if you have a job in Fort Myers or Naples and then you live in Lehigh because it's all you can afford. Then that combination of situations could make your life miserable. Within the city limits of Fort Myers, crime is so high that living there is not even an option. The schools are so bad. The only area that I recommend in Fort Myers is the Cypress Lake area, which is affordable and that actually are not that bad on crime. They're actually really decent areas. The biggest fear people have with moving to Lehigh Acres is being a victim of a home invasion robbery. And there used to be housing projects in Fort Myers, and when they got rid of the housing projects, all the people that were in Fort Myers ended up in Lehigh Acres. So basically, they relocated the population that was in the housing projects to southwest section of Lehigh Acres, which, by the way, does not look ghetto. One thing about Lehigh Acres is it does not look ghetto at all. The houses are brand new. They have brand new driveways. They are new houses, new roofs, palm trees. It doesn't look like a ghetto. So somebody moving into Lehigh Acres, you might find a property on Realtor and be like, wow, it's a brand new house. It's got palm trees. How could there possibly be crime in just a beautiful place? Well, it's not the buildings, it's not the houses, it's the people that are there that make the place undesirable. Sadly, some sections of Lehigh Acres have a poverty rate that's up to 40% of the population, and it's mostly centered around Leonard, the southwest corner of Lehigh Acres, which the locals know as the Triangle. What I love about Lehigh Acres, all the Cubans that came from Miami, there's a Cuban restaurant called Azúcar, which is awesome. There's also a Puerto Rican restaurant now, which is kind of like a food truck. It's called Gandules. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans that came from New York, and they brought their Puerto Rican culture with them. The car culture in Lehigh is awesome, and that Puerto Rican food, there's another food truck in Fort Myers now. If you've never had Puerto Rican food, it is off the scale. So if you are into Latin food, Latin culture, music, all that stuff, Lehigh has a lot going for it culturally because of the influx of people from Orlando, New York, Miami. Okay, so we understand the crime, we understand the home invasions, we understand that traffic sucks and the city's laid out horribly. Let's get off that. Let's talk about the cityscape itself. One of the nicest areas, in my opinion, is the Buckingham area. The first neighborhood you get into in the northeast side of Lehigh, I believe it's called Centennial. There's a lot of new houses. I definitely don't recommend the southwest corner. It's really tempting when you look at real estate websites and you see how affordable the real estate is in the southwest corner of Lehigh to want something there because it's just a good deal. The downside of the Buckingham and Centennial area, those newer communities, they're building a lot of new houses on that northeast corner, is obviously you got the proximity to the southwest corner, but you know what, anywhere in Lehigh you're not going to get away from the crime aspect or the concern for crime. So let's just drop that there. But the northeast side's not bad. They're building a lot of new houses in that area. Your commute, you can go in through Lee Boulevard, which I think is a lot better than if you're in the east side of Lehigh because of the commute. So obviously, as you saw somebody, I'm already speeding. I just got a speeding ticket last week. That car is going so fast. It is insane. That's another thing I don't like about Lehigh Acres is how aggressive the drivers are. And I'll show you guys another clip later on in the video where you'll see another aggressive driver. For some reason, the whole Fort Myers area, people here are just rude. They have no respect for other people. There's definitely no southern hospitality in this corner of Florida. Your commute's not going to be as bad. Like you're closer to Fort Myers. You can come up Buckingham and go around the landfill, and you're back there without having to go through 82. You can just totally bypass 82 in this section of Lehigh. It's an area that might work for you. Traffic's not as bad, and it does have that rural feel to it. It really does. And there's a lot of new houses going in there. You'll notice it's probably one of the fastest growing sections of Lehigh. It probably starts to look trashier as you get closer to like Lee Boulevard, so just try to stay towards like the outskirts of it, not too close to the main urban area. Try to keep it push it a little bit to the north, not right up against like Lee Boulevard, because then the population density there is a little bit higher and you start to see a little bit more of a ghetto aspect in there. One thing I just don't get about Lehigh in general is why people don't fence into the properties. Like we just saw one house there in the video that did have a fence. Nobody's properties are fenced in. Nobody has like trees. Like the houses are so open. If you live in an area that has high crime, put up a fence. Put up some, like Miami, they'll put up metal bars on the windows. Get a German Shepherd. Get a camera system. A lot of people do have the camera system. But then put up a sign to let people know, hey, we have a camera system. And that deters crime to just a large degree. It's like there's no effort made to acknowledge the fact that there's a high crime rate. I noticed that Cuban people and Haitian people have a lot lower percentage of being a victim to these crimes for some reason. But they fence in their properties. They put up some sugar canes and some banana trees. And it just looks more inhabitable. Like, I don't know how to put it out, but it does seem a lot of Cuban people even go to Miami and they bring these aluminum fences from Miami, and it's like a fence. It looks like a wood fence, but it's aluminum, and it's got like a little spike on the top, so you can't really jump over it. Just make some type of effort to protect your property, so it's not just so easy to get into your house, you know? Okay, the area that I do recommend the most in Lehigh Acres is the east side of Lehigh. We're riding down Joel or Joel. I don't know how the locals pronounce it. I don't particularly like that road because once you get closer into Lehigh, there's a lot of duplexes and like condos from the 70s, and it just looks trashy. Population density is really high along that particular road, but you get a few blocks to the east or a few blocks to the west, and it really is tranquil, quiet out there. It seems more rural. The lots are bigger, and I personally recommend the north side, the northeast side actually, and the east side because it's more rural. It's quieter, lots are bigger, like I said. It just seems more country. Even like when you get up to Moore in Columbus, which is the far east side of Lehigh, on those two roads, you'll even notice that the architecture of the houses are a little bit more country. There's a few like log cabins and stuff, so it's got a real country feel to it. So quiet out there. It's really country and rural. Like you'll legitly you'll see people driving in ATVs on the roads. It feels rural, with the exception of, like I said, that main road. Here we're turning. I think this is on 22nd or 21st. Once you get back in there, it seems really rural. There's a lot of canals if you like fishing. There are not many gas stations. There are no restaurants. There's not anything out there other than houses, streets, and canals. If you need a trip to the grocery store, you're driving into Lehigh Acres. I like what this house has going on. They got the 6-foot fence around the back. Then it looks like they bought the empty lot next to them, and they put some plants. That's all you're allowed to keep on an empty lot. Now look at this. This car just blew past us. It was stopped by the side of the road. It looks like a police car, but it wasn't a police. It was just a lady who decided to stop by the side of the road, wait for us to come through, then pass us very fast, then pull up in front of us to pull into her driveway and look at us like we were doing something bad. A lot of aggressive drivers and a lot of aggressive behavior in general out there. Paranoid of anybody coming in their neighborhood, and then they act crazy, and it just makes the whole situation worse. Out working really long days and then in a really crappy commute. Overall, you know, make sure you check out the neighborhood, talk to the neighbors. Even in the east side of Lehigh, the area that is more rural, I talked to a lot of people out there when I was thinking about moving out there, and did consider moving out there because the real estate really is affordable. One of those things where like about 1 out of 8 people that I talked to told me that they had their house broken into. I have a friend who lives in another area of Southwest Florida now. He said that when he lived in Lehigh Acres, his house was broken into 10 times. And they basically had him on a schedule. They knew when he went to work, and when he wasn't there, they targeted him. And it's really unfortunate that this situation happens. If you're looking at the private communities, there's a few private communities in Lehigh Acres. Don't waste your money paying more money to live in a private community in Lehigh Acres. It makes absolutely no difference. They get hit up too, actually, probably more than regular people, because they think if you can afford to live in a private community, you have more money. So I do have a friend who works really hard for a living, and I talked to him. He lives in Lehigh Acres in a private community, and he had told me that twice his house had been broken into since he's lived in Lehigh. There's a lot of Cubans and Haitians in Lehigh Acres and Puerto Ricans, and they are not being targeted by the criminals. And I think it has to do with the fact that some people will move in there and they'll have like a little convertible, and they have newer cars, and they look like a victim. Don't look like a victim. I mean, if you look like you're a family person, you have a few cars on the driveway, just don't look like a victim, okay? The Cuban people and the Haitian people do not get robbed nearly as often as the white people and the working class people. And I think it has to do with how you portray yourself. And if you're like Cuban people and Haitian people in particular, they'll put up like sugar cane and banana trees on their yard, and automatically you know they're Spanish or Latin, and nobody really, it just doesn't seem like they get targeted. But if you pull up with a little convertible, yellow convertible, and you park it inside your garage, and you know, like you give your neighbors an attitude like you're looking, you know, you act like you're paranoid, then you might be a more likely to be a victim. Because like I said, I have family there who has never had a problem with crime in Lehigh Acres, and they probably never will. Then I have other friends who don't live too far away, and they're constantly dealing with crime, but it seems like they're putting themselves out there to be a victim. So that's just something to think about. If you are moving to Lehigh Acres, I definitely recommend get the fence, get the dog, and park a few cars in the front yard, and don't make yourself look like a victim. Because if you make yourself look like a victim, that's what they're looking for. These people are 100% not brave. They are not brave. They're cowardly. They're looking for opportunities, somebody they can put on a schedule, somebody they're not intimidated by, and that's what they're going for. If grandma's at home, that is enough to scare them people away and not rob your house. So, and I know a lot of Spanish people, grandma's at home, mom's with the kids, uncle just came from Guatemala, and he shows up at your house, and now he's living there. So now you got like 6 people in the house, and who's going to want to rob people like that? Nobody. So guys, I just released a video about Naples, and it's close to like 37,000 views in a month. The video was whack, very unprofessional. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I just started this channel. I have no idea what direction I'm going to take this channel in. I just started it, and if I knew it was going to get that many views, I'd have been so much more professional. Once I know what direction this channel is going to go in, I'll get much better at it. So thank you so much for your support. Let me just read some of the comments we got on the Lehigh video that I did before. Alright, here we go. Directly from the last video. I lived here since '97. The area did not get bad until the rental duplexes were built. Yeah, I really do agree with you. Duplexes do ruin a place. Dinell says, I live in Lehigh, but I just moved here 6 months ago. I live almost on the corner of 6th and Lincoln. Is it a bad area? All my neighbors are retired, and we have never experienced anything wrong. You know what? If you haven't had crime, you love it. That's all that matters. I mean, my opinion is not going to matter. If you're there, you're happy, your neighbors are retired people, I'm so happy for you. Geo Vital, which I think I know Geo from like high school or something, but if it's a Geo I'm thinking about, what's up, brother? He's cracking up, and then he says, next time, really ride through, jump off the main streets, come up in the hood, brother, come up in the hood. Come up on Haviland and Toad and all these streets if you want to ride through 100 by the end of the day. This is home. All right, guys, let me get a few more comments here. Joe Oil says, if you don't sell dope, you don't own no drug dealers, no dope, or you ain't a thief, you won't have too much to worry about. Yeah, sometimes people just bring trouble into their own lives, and then they get robbed, and they're looking for your dope. So yeah, sometimes people, their lifestyles, they are the ones bringing the people to their house that end up robbing them or something. Absolutely right. Then we have a person, Alan something. The era wasn't bad until Fort Myers shut down the projects. Yeah, that really contributed to Lehigh's area falling apart. Diego says, man, that's crazy to think that's hood. There's so many homes for sale and so many empty lots for sale. Yeah, that's what created the hood. Yeah, it doesn't look ghetto. It doesn't like Philadelphia where you see people out on the streets and stuff. No, it's not like that. It's, you'll drive around and people are like, oh, come on here on a Saturday. Yeah, I do come in on a Saturday. All my videos are on Saturday. I don't do this on a Monday. I got work and stuff to do. It's on a Saturday. Nothing's going on. These hoods are just dead. But don't let that fool you. Robert says, hey, yo, home sweet home. Okay. And then Moody Blues says my house is in there. Joshua says Leonard. I don't know how I'm pronouncing these street names, bro. How important? You get the point. You know what I'm talking about. Joey says, when I moved there was only 3 houses on the block. And then, let's see. Israel says, awesome music. You know what, Israel? I appreciate that so much. I make my own beats on FL Studios. You can't just copy beats from the internet. You have to be authentic or you get a copyright strike. You don't even know how much work I put in these soundtracks, so they don't sound pathetic. I'm not trying to like have DJ Khaled come up on the track or something, but it does need, it needs to sound somewhat professional. or at least acceptable. So I really appreciate that comment. You Never Know says, go to Kensington in Philly. That's the ghetto, my friend. No thanks, I'm not going there. It doesn't seem so bad. That's JK said that. And then Queen, what's up with these YouTube names? I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. You really sound like a dumb person that makes videos about fishing and complaining about places and where you're not allowed to fish. Do you buy stuff there? Any bad experiences of your junk got stolen there from the Triangle? Wow, dude, you're watching all my YouTube channels. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. You know more about me than I do. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Alright, guys, that's all the comments from the channel. Alright, guys, and if you know where I'm driving through in this last clip, comment on the video. If you know this place, it's the next video that's coming up. It's not too far from Lehigh Acres, and it's the next town that I'm going to digest, break apart, and give you the raw deal about. So, thanks so much for watching. That's it. Jose, Florida Hood Blogs.